Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be looking at all things Cordelius, the brand new brawler coming with the Brawl Pass in the next season. So we're going to be looking at his best builds, best gadgets, star powers and gears, his best counters and the best matchups for him. And then at the end, we're giving you guys some tips and also ranking him as well. So straight away, just going to look at his base stats: 4,800 HP, which actually isn't a lot considering he's actually an assassin. 1090 damage. He shoots out 2 mushrooms with his attack. Very fast reload speed, normal range, and also he's got a really long range on his super, but we'll be diving into those in a second. So his first gadget is called Replanting. So basically it's kind of like Eve's jump, where you can jump over a piece of terrain, which is really good. Also a quick note as well, his super charges in about 5 shots, and his kind of super charging radius is the same as his actual range as well. So whenever you're in range in that circle, you just know that's kind of your range of your attack. So that's a pretty cool thing to know as well. But yeah, this gadget's going to be pretty good, especially against brawlers with some big heavy supers. For example, like a nanny super, you can jump over it, and also it's going to be good to kind of leap upon like really vulnerable brawlers, you know, like Sprout, for example. If you're in a 1v1 with Sprout, you can use that to close the gap and take him down quicker. Second gadget is called a Poison Mushroom. So for 1.5 seconds the opponent cannot attack. I think as well it deals a little bit of damage upon attack as well, just because like your normal base attack, right? So this is going to be pretty good, especially for example, if you know that matchup is really bad for yourself. At least you can stop them attacking for 1.5 seconds. But still, I feel like I might prefer the other gadget just because it helps close the gap in certain scenarios. So now moving on to the star powers, we have the first star power called Combo Shrooms. So with the second mushroom of his attack, if it's on the same opponent, it'll deal an extra 30% damage. As you can see here, just one normal attack will be 1,090, and then it goes up to 1,417. So I think this will probably be the better star power, because any extra DPS, especially considering he only shoots 2 mushrooms per attack, I think it's really going to help him out. And finally, moving on to the second star power, we have Mushroom Kingdom. So whenever you're in this realm, his super, he will spawn 3 mushrooms, either giving you back 1000 HP per mushroom, so 3000 HP overall, which is pretty good, or it would damage the opponent for 1000 if they go over the mushrooms. So of course you've only got 8 seconds to pick up this mushroom, but I think this could be really good in 1v1, because of course over time it can help you in a 1v1, but then you're missing out on that extra damage. So it'll be interesting to try this one out. I'm not really too sure whether this will be the better one. So moving on to his best build, then Replanting is going to be pretty good, especially on maps with a lot of walls. You can quickly pounce on your opponent. That's really going to help you out because you really lack range with Cordelius. So I think that might be the better gadget. I'll probably be using that one to begin with. But again, if you're really struggling against a lot of other assassins, which I think will counter you, I think Poison Mushroom can help you in a 1v1. And then for sure, I think Combo Shroom is going to be the better star power, just because you need that extra DPS for a brawler like Cordelius. And then when it comes down to his gears, again, it will just depend up what the matchup really is. I think he probably needs that extra HP though, considering he's an assassin, but then the speed combo is going to be really good for him. I think pretty much everything except for the health gear. First and foremost, we're going to be taking a look at his best matchups. So for me, it was pretty hard to really, especially against bots, to know completely what his best matchup is, just because his range is so short. I think that's going to be his biggest kind of downfall. But for me, these are going to be some of the best matchups. So the first one's going to be Sandy, mainly because you kind of want other similar brawlers in your lane, right? You know, Sandy doesn't have a lot of range and normally kind of hugs a wall. So I think Cordelius could kind of use that feature to then charge his super. And then in a 1v1, I think Cordelius should just be able to absolutely wreck a Sandy. So I just think that's going to be a good 1v1 interaction for him. Same with kind of a brawler like Ems. Of course, she has a lot more range than Cordelius. Well, not a lot more, but I think can definitely out wall peek. But again, I think she will help charge his super, and then through that super he can just shoot it through a wall, and it will get a lot faster, and he can win that 1v1. Next is Griff. Again, not too sure to be honest. Like Griff can just sit behind a wall, so maybe he can charge his super off that one. Next is Sprout. So this is more so when he gets his super. So I think in a 1v1 he should just be able to destroy a brawler like Sprout. He'll just have so much maneuverability. Sprout just won't be able to keep up with it. And then next, I think like secretly a tank could be somewhat of a decent option for him, because it can allow him to charge his super much quicker, and then he can start pouncing onto other matchups. So a little bit of a weird one, Cordelius. Really struggled to really find any good matchups for him. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to his best counters. So pretty much I think in his current state, he's going to be pretty weak. So I feel like a lot of brawlers are going to be able to counter him. He has one of the shortest ranges in the game, and he's pretty squishy. So even if he does close the gap, I don't know if he's going to be winning every single 1v1, to be honest. I think there's a lot of brawlers that can counter out assassins in this meta. But anyways, the first counter is going to be Carl. So Carl, I think, is going to be a fantastic option against him because that protective pirouette, there's just nothing that Cordelius can do against it. There's no cancellation feature in Cordelius's kit. So yeah, I just think that 1v1 is going to be completely chalked for him. Next is going to be Maisie. So again, Maisie is going to be able to outrange Cordelius pretty easily. I know he's got a very fast movement speed, but with Maisie's recent buff, I just think she has a lot of defensive measures against a brawler like Cordelius. She's got the gadget, she's got her super, which she can shoot through a wall. I just think she's going to be a fantastic shutdown to Cordelius in particular. Next we have Ruff. So again, I think Ruff's going to be a solid option against Cordelius because you got the sandbags to protect him, and also I just feel like Ruff's going to be able to outrange him and just constantly stay behind walls, so Cordelius can't really do anything against him. And next we have Crow. So I think Crow again can just out kind of peek him. He can keep his distance, and then even if Cordelius does close the gap, more than likely Crow will just have his super, and Crow is one of the best brawlers in the game, so of course it's going to be a fantastic counter. And then lastly we have Shelly. So Shelly's had one of the highest win rates in the recent monthly finals, so of course the best brawler in the game, probably Shelly. It's going to easily counter Cordelius, but not only that, like Shelly in close range combat, it's just going to completely shut down Cordelius. So to be honest, I think it's going to be a lot of counters to him just because of his range. Any brawler is going to be able to outrange him. That's normally the typical way you counter, of course, so many different brawlers in the game. But for me, I think it's going to be pretty easy to shut him down. Okay, so moving on to the final part, then I'm going to be giving you guys some tips and then also where I think he'll land in the meta. So the first tip for me is that he doesn't even necessarily need to win his 1v1. The kind of funky thing about him is that, of course, you're going to be trapped in this reality, but then once you get the kill or just the 8 seconds run out, you're just going to literally land wherever you're at. So you could literally land into a Shelly super, so of course you've got to be careful and not just go crazy with it, but at the same time you could use this, I don't know, for example on knockout there's just a really passive thrower like Sprout or Grom that's been really annoying. You could just use your super maybe against someone that's closer and then just run straight to where they're kind of camping, and then once those 8 seconds kind of land, I think you can just absolutely shred them. But I think one thing in particular as well, one good tip is that I think communication could be really important. Of course, it's pretty hard to communicate in Brawl Stars, so if you're actually playing competitive, I think this could sneakily be a really strong brawler. So for example, your teammate can call out that there's a ball in the left top corner. You could just start running over there and your opponents won't really know that you're traveling over there. So pretty sneaky, that could be a cool tip. And it also reminds me of Leon away because of course you're literally invisible to everyone. So the way you kind of play Cordelius, I think it's going to be pretty similar to Leon in some ways. Next, I think his range is awful, so I think wall hugging will be very necessary to charge his super up automatically. I think, you know, you think of brawlers like Buzz in a sense, well literally he's got the same mechanics as Buzz. I think constantly trying to push up behind the wall, trying to charge up our super automatically, it's going to be the way that he's going to kind of thrive in this game, to build up his super and then start cycling. And then lastly, you can actually use his super just to kind of survive in gem grab, you know, for those final 8 seconds. For example, someone's starting to push you down the back of the map and, you know, they're in mid, you can just throw your super onto them, and for those 8 seconds only him can kill you. So you know you can kind of just run away and none of the other guys can actually kill you. So in some ways that could be pretty broken. You can think of Janet, for example, kind of similar in that way, where she can just pop her super and there's no way you can actually kill her. So that's going to be some good survivability. You've also got Brawl as well. For example, if your teammate, you can coordinate, if they're going to, you know, shoot towards the goal, you can then super that opponent and then they're going to be removed from the goal, so they can't save the ball anymore. But then again, you've got to be careful because that could backfire in some ways. You know, for example, if you just really unaware of where the ball is and you super an opponent, then the ball goes missing on your screen, so you don't know whether the enemy are about to score. So, you know, it can be a very high risk but very high reward. Alright guys, it's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. So Cordelius, he's going to be really fun, but I think it's going to be another brawler very similar to Willow in the sense that I think maybe his base kind of, you know, attack and HP isn't going to be the best, but his super could be game breaking. So I feel like they're just making sure that he's not going to be really game breaking OP, but I could quite easily be wrong because with these brand new super mechanics, they could quite easily be really overwhelming. So I'm interested to try him out. For me, I would say somewhere near the B tier, even C tier. He could quite possibly be a really bad brawler just because of his range, or he could be a brawler that charges up his super so fast, you know, 4 or 5 shots to get his super. I think he could be really good at cycling. We'll have to wait and see. It'll be a very fun brawler, I think. You know, comparison to the last Brawl Pass brawler, Maisie, I think this one's going to be so much more fun. Of course, it's an assassin brawler. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.